Okay, Jimmy. Thank you, my friend, for accepting the invitation to be on my Denim and Leather podcast.
It's a true honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you. You're a legend. I'm a fan, and thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for that wonderful compliment. I need those now and then. Thank you.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm a musician myself. I played drums in a band for 23 years, so I know how it is.
Yeah, it's tough.
So I wanted to ask you at first. You started playing in the 70s and 80s, right?
Oh yeah. I've had a crazy music life. I mean, I've played a lot of different instruments before I went to guitar.
Okay.
I was all through school. I played the big stand-up bass. The orchestra in the orchestra. Upright bass.
We call it contrabass. We call it.
Yeah. I played that throughout my elementary, junior high, and everything else, and then somewhere around ages 10, about age 10, I got this strong desire to play drums. I was really into. My parents brought me up on big band music from the 40s and 50s. The big band orchestras.
Like a classical, like a jazzy classical thing.
Jazzy. Dixieland music, and like the
Duke Ellington and stuff.
Yeah. Duke Ellington, Benny Goodman. Glenn Miller, that type of music. So I became a big fan of the legendary jazz drummer Gene Krupa.
Oh, Gene Krupa, I know.
Yeah. I actually met Gene Krupa before he passed away. I have my picture with him on my Facebook page.
When did Gene Krupa die?
Like 1973, and I met him. I think it was either 72 or 73. He passed away. But I had met him about 1969, I believe. And he happened to be playing, 20 minutes up the street at a Holiday Inn here with a jazz band, a little Dixieland jazz thing, and it was really cool to actually get to sit right at a table up close to him and see him.
Yeah.
Still, even at his old age, he had all his flash and everything else. It was a real treat for me.
Yes. So that influenced you. That influenced you a lot for what comes next, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I fell in love with drums hard. So I had I started playing drums nonstop in the orchestra, and I had a drum set here in this basement actually. And I had I was in junior high, and I started jamming with these high school guys. And they brought their guitars over, and of course, because I was the drummer, I had the place to practice. And one day, the guitar player had left his guitar out, just leaning against his amplifier, and went home. And so after he left, I turned on his amp, and he had this old 1970s Big Muff fuzz box. And I turned on the guitar, and of course, I'm left-handed, but he was right-handed. So I picked up his guitar and just held it upside down. I turned on the fuzz box, and I started playing these on the low E string, making these sounds. And I flipped out, and I said, "Oh my God, I love this!" And it was like an instant decision right there. I said, "I don't want to play drums anymore. I want to be a guitarist." And you got to understand, I had a scholarship from the Hartford Conservatory of Music for drums.
Really?
I had won a scholarship for. I was a rudiment drummer, like for. Orchestra, playing rudiments and stuff. And I had to play vibes and marimba, things like that. But I just, something about the guitar took me over instantly. And I don't even know what it was. So in 1973, at the end of 1973, I had made a decision. Actually, it was the beginning of 1974. I made a decision I was going to get out of drums, and I wanted to be a guitar player. And my dad had found and got me a guitar, but it was an acoustic at the moment.
Yeah.
And we put the strings on left-handed, and he had got me a sound hole pickup a pickup that would fit right in the sound hole, so I could, kind of play it electric.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. I actually had that guitar before an electric. I had a fuzz box and everything going through. I mean, you can imagine the amount of feedback I was getting from an acoustic guitar with a sound hole pickup. It was crazy. But I just, went crazy for the guitar. So I went to see someone that I knew had taken me to see Chuck Berry. He was playing at the Bushnell Theater here in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And so I went to see him, and when I came home from seeing Chuck Berry, there was an electric guitar and amplifiers waiting for me here at the house. So, I can't even tell you what a thrill that was. So that pretty much, from 1974 on, I can honestly say I haven't put the guitar down. It's
really?
Been
from 74.
Guitars, I was more like, it wasn't just something I enjoyed playing. It was more like an obsession for the instrument too. I couldn't stop. I would practice from the moment I got up in the morning before I went to school. Yeah. And when I got home, it wasn't, it wasn't anything to do with homework or anything like that. It was all about the guitar, right till I went to bed. On the weekends, I really didn't have a lot of friends growing up anyway, so I stayed in my house and just played guitar every single day.
Yeah.
I discovered a lot of different players. Back when I was a drummer, the guitar player they came down with this record, this live album by Johnny Winter. I don't know if you know who Johnny Winter is. He's a famous.
Of course, I know Johnny Winter, the white guy. Yeah.
The albino. He's amazing.
He has a brother also, a guitar player.
Edgar.
Right?
Yeah, Edgar Winter. Yeah. And Johnny was this amazing. Even though he played blues with a lot of feel, Johnny had a lot of fire in his playing too. He played a lot of fast runs and everything. So they had this album called Johnny Winter and it's a live album that he recorded to Fillmore East, and Rick Derringer is on it, a very young Rick Derringer. And there's so much incredible guitar playing. Even to this day, that album, holds the test of time.
So that album influenced you the most?
Yeah, that album really influenced me like you have no idea. It just really took me over. So that was my first guitar player I really started listening to. And then I discovered Grand Funk. I really liked Grand Funk. They had a live album when they were just a trio, and they were this really hard rock, Mark Farner and I thought it was just so cool. And then somebody turned me on to Deep Purple, and they gave me the record Machine Head. And then when I heard Ritchie Blackmore, that was it. That sealed my faith.
So Machine Head is the first album from Deep Purple you listened to.
Yeah, I heard Machine Head first, and then once I heard Machine Head, I had to go all the way back to the albums with Rod Evans.
Yeah.
And so I had to get all those, and then I had to get in rock. I had to get I did it with the London Philharmonic Orchestra, the concerto. And I actually had Made in Japan on a bootleg before Warner Brothers released it. When Made in I wish I still had it too. When Made in Japan came out, it was on a bootleg record.
And so on a cassette or a vinyl?
Vinyl. It was out on vinyl. The label had a purple label on it, and it wasn't a typical Warner Brothers record. It wasn't distributed by Warner Brothers. It was definitely a bootleg.
Yeah.
Because that's where I got it. I got it in the bootleg section of the record store. And then, of course, I wore that out completely. Then when Warner Brothers came out with it, I ended up getting that.
So which version of Deep Purple do you like the most in the first versions of Purple?
Well, I I love the Ian Gill. I mean, I'm partial to the Ian Gillan stuff because I was heavily influenced from those records. Yeah. But I have nothing against the Burn, Burn album and Stormbringer. And yeah, because I love Coverdale's voice, and I think Glenn Hughes is amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, look at every band, evolves in different ways. Richie was looking for a singer similar to Paul Rodgers when they changed. When they changed over from Ian Gillan, Richie was really into Paul Rodgers' voice, and finding David Coverdale was a home run. I mean, the guy worked in a boutique shop, for God's sakes. It changed his whole life, Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's an amazing story. But it was, people don't accept change really well. To me, it was Deep Purple, so I loved every version of it. There's some amazing stuff even with Rod Evans. But honestly, when you go back and listen to the early Deep Purple stuff, I have to say Deep Purple in Rock has to be one of their greatest albums. And the music on that is so driving and powerful. And I love the way Richie Blackmore plays a 335, a Gibson 335, because he wasn't playing his Stratocaster on that. On that, he didn't change over till I think it was Fireball. I don't know what. Yeah, Fireball. I think he was playing a Strat, but man, when he played that 335, what he made that guitar do was ferocious. I mean, it was. Absolutely crazy.
It might be something influencing in the sound. In rock has a lot of heavier sounding riffs from all of the others. Like, how was it called? The song "Hard Loving Woman" or
Hard Loving. Is it Hard Loving Man?
Hard Loving Man. That is pure heavy metal, man.
Yeah, it is. And even Speed King, down, down,
Speed King, of course.
Oh my God, and you listen to what they were doing in Child in Time, and just to hear what Ian sang in that, the notes he was hitting and everything. So I mean, the whole record is classic to me.
Yeah.
I was, I liked Fireball. But I wasn't. It wasn't my favorite record. Some people really love. I mean, it had some great songs on it.
Yeah.
But when Machine Head came out, I was really floored.
Yeah.
With that, and then when they started having problems in the band, for Who Do You Think We Are. To me, there's some really good songs on that. Rat Bad Blue, I absolutely love that song.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay album. For me, it's kind of a little bit more into going into commercial stuff. That album,
Yeah. Well, you could say what you want. Even bands like Deep Purple and all the other bands in the world do realize you need to have a hit song.
A hit, yeah.
The record companies, I'm sure back then even, push for a hit song.
Yeah.
They want something, after Deep Purple came out and Smoke on the Water became as huge as it was and really helped launch that band, make them, put them on a pedestal. The record company sees that and they're looking at dollars and all they care about is we need another Smoke on the Water. And that's all that's on their mind. Yeah. So, they did that with Woman from Tokyo. That's a pretty cool tune.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of pressure. But if the band is having problems, then they're having problems. You can't keep it together. And
Yeah. So you do play in a cover in a tribute band to Deep Purple, right?
Yeah. The band Beyond Purple that I have.
Yeah.
Is not just a Deep Purple. The reason I call it Beyond Purple is I wanted to make a band that has everything that branched off of Deep Purple. So in other words, I do Deep Purple. We do songs from all three singers, and then from there we go into Rainbow, and then from there, because Dio sang in Rainbow, we do some Dio songs.
Yeah.
We do all the different singers that were in Rainbow, and then we do a whole bunch of Whitesnake material because of David Coverdale. And I got to be honest, when we're playing, it's the women. It's all about Whitesnake. It is. It is. I mean, we could. If I didn't, I kind of think, I love all the Deep Purple songs, and we don't do anything weird. We do all the songs that everybody would know. I don't do any deep cuts in the band. Like when we do Rainbow, like the Rainbow songs we do, I don't do like Gates of Babylon or anything like that. Songs that I would love to play. I do
the heavier stuff.
I do the stuff that the people that I'm playing for know. So there's a lot of the Joe Lynn Turner stuff. But I do Spotlight Kid because I love playing.
Street of Dreams.
Oh my God, I love it. I love Street of Dreams. We play that.
Do you do something with Graham Bonnet? Yeah. Yeah,
we do. We do Since You've Been Gone, and we do. And we did do All Night Long because I love that song. And I'm thinking about bringing that one back. We didn't play it for a little bit, but it's just got a great intro riff.
Yeah.
That's when Richie wanted to go commercial, when he got Graham Bonnet. He went from, that's why Dio had parted ways with Richie, because Ronnie wanted to stick with the darker side, because he loves that, and that's what he's a master at.
I guess that's why Cozy Powell left the band maybe after.
Yeah. Yeah, they wanted to stick to that, and Richie was looking for a hit. Maybe he was. Yeah. You never know. He could have been getting pressured. Richie, we got to, from the label. Yeah. It could be that.
So, what was your first band back in the 70s or 80s? Your first band?
My first band was. It's so funny. It has a strange name too. It was in the 70s. I got in a band instantly because I played guitar. I practiced guitar so much. I got what you would call good on my guitar very fast. It wasn't a struggle for me. It was a very natural thing for me to play guitar. And, at the beginning I was, I had, a couple teachers. Everything I did was on my own, but one of them was trying to switch me to right-handed, and I couldn't play anything right-handed. And I just said, to hell with it. I'm going to stick to guitar, left-handed. So I got that, and then when I finally got my Strat, that was it. I got a Strat, and I really went for it. But my first band playing out was I was 16, and it was a band called they called the band Treebeard, and I had no idea what that meant back then. I thought that was a really strange name, and then just recently, a few years back, I found out that Treebeard is actually something in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I had no idea. I thought it was just a weird name, but there's actually something in the Lord of the Rings that's a Treebeard.
So it's Lord of the Rings before it was cool,
Yeah. They knew all about it. It must have been in a book.
It was like Led Zeppelin and Robert Plant sang for Mordor and Silmarillion back in the day. In the 70s when nobody knew about Lord of the Rings,
Yeah, it was just one of those things. Those guys someone must have read the book Lord of the Rings. It must have been around way back then. Yeah. I wasn't a book reader. I just played my guitar all day. So when they told me the name of the band, I said, well, that's really messed up. I said, but okay, I was just a kid. I didn't care. Names meant nothing to me. I just wanted to play, get out and play on stage. So yeah, that was my first band, and I just I played out, and I was going to junior high, and I had to get a note. We ended up being a house band at this club in Hartford, Connecticut, where close to where I was.
What year is this? 80?
Oh no! This was still 70.
75, 6.
Yeah, 75, like 1970. Okay. Yeah, like 75, 76, nothing early. And the club happened to have I had to get a note from my parents to play there. First off, so they signed the note, but they didn't. I didn't tell them that the club was a strip bar. So they had strippers during the day, and they had bands at night. So, but they didn't know that. I don't think I even realized that. I just gave them a note. But when I walked into the club to set up, the girls were still on stage. And I'm going, oh, my eye, here I am, 15, 16 years old, and my eyes are wide open going, oh my God, this is great, so it was a great experience. Anyway, it was from that point on, things, I went everywhere. I tried anything in the world. When I got out of high school, a guy that worked with Rick Derringer was starting a band. He flew me down to Texas. I remember I didn't even have the plane ticket, and I woke up and the plane ticket was there. I'm telling my mom and dad, I got to go to Texas right now. My plane, it was a rush situation. And, so it's always been my dream to
you were trying to make it. Yeah.
I always wanted to be successful in this business. And I was, ready to go anywhere. I even went to, up in New Hampshire, this little town called Claremont, New Hampshire, which was right next to Lake Sunapee. And the reason I went there is because this guy happened to have met Steven Tyler. And back then it was Steven Tellerico. The family, the Tellericos, had cottages around Lake Sunapee. So, I figured, this guy's, knows Steven Tyler. Okay, I'm going to go up here to this little town, to try and do something with this guy. It was always something ridiculous.
So you were obsessed to do something with someone that has connections.
I wanted.
The business,
we were always trying to, look to see who could do, if this person could help this person. Yeah. It's still like that, But I guess, when all was said and done, I went up to, I got into this cover band called the Shoppers, and that band was strictly all covers. It was a road band. I was on the road. I lived out of a suitcase. We would go away, play the same place for a week, drive all over the place. No GPS. This was back, way before any of that stuff. No cell phones. I had no problem getting around back then, or even, I would stop and use the payphone. I don't know what I would do if I put my phone down someplace and can't find it. I have a heart attack now. It's just but I had no problem doing anything, getting around back then, all over the upper state, Maine, Canada, everywhere, all that.
Yeah.
But that band played everywhere. Then I got involved with this production company out of Montreal, Canada. And I was doing an all original band with these guys.
That's in the 80s?
Early 80s it started, late 79, very early, like 1980. And
what style? Like into glam rock, hard rock?
No, it was hard rock. The guy
hard rock, yeah.
Yeah, the guy had produced some records for Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, okay.
So he took us on as a project. We did a whole thing at a studio, and I pretty much lived in Montreal. I stayed there. I was never legally brought in. Sorry about that. Let me shut that off.
Okay. It's okay.
And I went up there, and we stayed and we recorded, and this guy had made connections in New York with this big guy in Atlantic Records, and he was going back and forth with our tape, and it was one of these situations where they loved it. He's saying, "Oh, you guys are going to be the next Led Zeppelin," and this and that. We had a very good singer. We had everything, and you're telling kids this, nonstop. Oh, this is going to be huge. It's going to be, and we're getting all, our hearts are racing. We're getting very, excited about what's going to be happening. And I remember, it had to be 25 times this guy told me the deal was going to be signed that day or next week. They were coming in with the offer. And it got to the point where it just never happened. And it was like, it was one of these things you could only tell, you know, I just knew something wasn't right when it just didn't happen right away. And it was a huge, huge disappointment. So anyways, I ended up coming back to Connecticut, and I got into this band called Join Forces. And we started out as a cover band, and then we stopped. And then about a year later, we got back together and decided to be an all-original band. We wanted to try something different here in the States that nobody was doing. Every band was a cover band here. Some bands did covers and originals. We decided we were going to come out and do an hour and a half of all original music, have two bands open for us, and, you know, we're going to give it a try because we just wanted to go for it.
Yeah.
So we did that. And, you know, the club owners were kind of scared to do it. We weren't sure how it was going to go over, but our first night, we played this massive, this place called the Agora Ballroom, and it was sold out to, you know, 1,000 people showed up. It was crazy. So the thing went over huge, and Join Forces became like a big band for an area, very big band. And then all of a sudden, all these other bands started following suit. All these other bands started doing original music and, you know, things like that. But we ended up getting hooked up with a management company that this person who worked for Joan Jett. They worked for Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. He worked in the office. And he was starting a production company on his own. So he took us on, and all we had was a 3-song cassette demo, but he was partnered with a guy that owned a fleet of tour buses that all the bands like Motley Crue, all these guys used them back then. So we actually ended up going out on tour with Joan Jett. We did an East Coast run with her.
You opened for her?
Yeah, we opened for Joan.
Great.
And we went up and down the East Coast. We had our own tour bus.
Yeah.
And all of Joan's crew and the band guys came on our bus all the time to party because we were, you know, they wanted to leave Joan alone. It was great. So, you know, we did all these shows. I became very good friends with Joan. She took I was very grateful because I was the only person in the band that she took a liking to, but actually took the time to spend time with me, talk with me. I actually I'm the only one in the band that has a photo with her and I together back then.
Back in the day,
Back in the day. And even to this day, like I just saw Joan a couple months back, and it's always a very friendly, how you do, you know, she comes off her bus to give me a hug, and you know, we were very close. But after that tour, there was an opportunity. Joan Jett and Michael J. Fox were going to do a movie together. It was a movie called Light of Day. They were going to be brother and sister, and they were going to be in a band together. And they needed a band, another band for the movie to play this band to
back them up.
Not to back them up. A band that Joan would leave her brother to join. It was a twist on it. And we were that band. We got hired for the movie, and in the band, we're called the Huns. So that's actually Join Forces in that movie.
And it happened, right?
It's in it. Yeah, you can see if you go look up the movie Light of Day. And about an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, you'll see
the band.
Joan is on stage. With a band called the Huns. I got a white leather coat on, my white Kramer guitar, my hair's out like this.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's one of the first shots. Actually, if you go onto my YouTube page, type in Jimi Bell, Jimibell, Jimi Bell, Light of Day. A buddy of mine made that scene. So there's a couple things before that scene happens, but he made a clip of just that. You'll see the picture of. You'll see a picture, if you go to my YouTube, you'll see the picture of me and Joan Jett when we did the movie. So my hair's spiked out, and Joan, you know, and then there's a picture of her and I 30 years later, right next to each other that we took.
I will check that out.
Yeah. But so that was a great experience, being in a movie. It was a whole different, a whole different life,
Yeah, of course, like making a video, but bigger production. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you're on the set. There's trailers.
Yeah.
There's catering going on all day. There's camera crews sitting there. It was pretty crazy to see how they actually did that. Now, when you see the movie clip, I'll just tell you real quick, because I'm sure you got other questions you want to ask me. This, what we did was we recorded the song all in full costume, full makeup.
Yeah.
We recorded the song about 10 times, and outside of the venue, they had the mobile record plant. The record plant had a mobile recording truck, and they had that parked outside. So they recorded the song about, like I said, about 10 times. And when they picked the one that they wanted, that's when they let all the extras, they let the people off the street into the venue.
I get it.
And then we had to play along. Now, back then, things were different. Not like, in-ear monitors or anything you have now. They had the blast over the PA, whatever version they picked. Now, I play a little different every single time I play guitar. I don't play the same thing twice any given time. So
you improvise. You improvise. Yeah.
I improvise because the solo is the solo. It's like if I feel like doing this, if I feel like my hand is going to be up here, I'm going to play up here. If I want to play down here, I'm going to, it's my solo. I want to do what I want with it.
Yeah.
But so I had to really listen while I'm playing to see what track they picked. And I had to kind of keep my hands going, because nothing drives me more insane than when I see a video of a band and you can clearly hear the guitar players playing up here on the neck, and you see his hands down here. Yeah. It's like, it's not, you're not even trying. You're just,
I hate that kind of stuff. That's like faking it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, at least try to make it look like you're really playing the solo. So we did it and came out great. It was a great experience.
Awesome. So that's like late 80s or something.
Yeah. We were on the road. We were being managed by this guy, and then then he had this opportunity to really do something good with the band, and then he just decided to go on the road with Joan Jett and everything, and then so I was really down in the dumps, and at the time I was being managed by Kramer Guitars. They were the biggest guitar company in the world.
Yeah.
And they had Eddie Van Halen at this time. And I was the president, Dennis Berardi of Kramer, happened to see me play, and he loved the way that I played guitar. So, and Floyd Rose himself, the guy that invented the Floyd Rose tremolo, saw me. And he's the one that says, I got to get you a Kramer endorsement. So I was an unsigned artist, but he ended up, the president came down, saw me, gave me a full Kramer endorsement. No record deal, nothing that I had.
Whoa.
I ended up getting all these guitars, parts, anything I could possibly want from Kramer.
That's amazing.
All given to me. And I would go play the NAMM show for Kramer, and
I saw some picture of you at the NAMM show back in the 80s. Yeah.
I went there. I played for them. They actually flew the whole band out, and we performed, all of Joint Forces. So they wanted to take me on and manage me. And one day I get a call. Well, this is on a Wednesday morning from the president, and he goes, "Hey, Jimmy," he goes, "Ozzy kicked out Jakey Lee from the band, and they're auditioning guitar players. I sent your tape out, and Sharon really loves it and wants you to come out."
So that's about 87, 88, something like that.
86, 1986.
Yeah.
And I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay, when am I going? Next week?" And he goes, "No, you're leaving today." He goes, "We have a ticket for you at the airport. You have to go to California right now." I'm going like, oh my God. Now I only I knew some Ozzy songs from when I played in a cover band. So I said, okay. Got to the airport, got on that plane, went to California. Ozzy's guy picked me up. This is the guy that always took, did all the driving for him. And I get picked up by him, and they bring me to the rehearsal studio. After I was there for a couple hours, and Phil, Suzanne, and Randy Castile were there, and that's how they auditioned all the guitar players. They didn't do it with Ozzy.
Yeah.
But Sharon Osbourne wanted to see if what she saw on the video was real.
Yeah.
So Sharon Osbourne came while I was auditioning with Phil and Randy. She sat right there on the couch. I played.
Randy Castillo, right?
Yeah, Randy Castillo.
Yeah.
I played, and I did great. I really killed it. And this was like out of 500 people. So Sharon says to me, she goes, I'm gonna keep you. I'm gonna keep you, and tomorrow you're gonna play with Ozzy. And I was going, okay. So I went the next day. They picked me up, and there's this one other guy. This is a great story. You got to hear this.
Yeah.
There's this one. Do you have time? I mean, do we have time?
Of course, man. We can talk how much you want.
Okay. There was this blonde guitar player from Sweden. I have no idea who he was. But all I know is somehow he got an audition. And so I'm sitting there in this studio. All of a sudden, Ozzy walks in, and this is when Ozzy had shaved his head. He had gotten that big dragon tattoo up here on his chest or whatever, demon or whatever he had. And, this is when he was, purely crazy. It was great. So, I tell this to people a lot, you see Ozzy in magazines, you see him on TV and video and everything, but nothing compares to when he's right there in your face, when he's right there face to face with you. It's pretty wild. So anyways, this kid ends up going up before me to do an audition. So they're doing Flying High again. I'll never forget this as long as I live. So during Flying High again, like I said, I don't know who the guitar player is. Obviously back then around that time, Yngwie was getting real popular. Yngwie from Sweden. This guy's from Sweden. So during Flying High again, the kid's doing the solo, and instead of doing the classic Randy Rhoads two-handed tapping descending line,
okay,
doing it like that, this kid wanted to try and make it like something Yngwie would do, and he started sweeping arpeggios through it, going, and Ozzy went absolutely nuts. And he was behind the kid, and he made like he was strangling him, like he was choking him to death, and then made like he was stabbing him with a knife like this. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm just sitting there watching this. And then the kid would turn around, and Ozzy gave him the thumbs up, like, hey, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, my God. So this kid's done. He's out. They pull him out of the building. And then I go up. So I'm glad I saw that, because I wasn't going to go off track too much anyway. But I do, I don't copy solos 100% note for note.
Yeah.
But so I went up on stage. And first song we did was I Don't Know. And I had such a good groove going with the band. Everything was just really, really good. And Ozzy, I could tell Ozzy was happy, because you know how he stands his mic like this?
Yeah.
And then he started doing the rocking thing like this with his mic.
Yeah.
And then he got, when it came time to do my solo, and I Don't Know, he got right down in front of the amp and was listening, and it was great. So I did about 5 songs. I had to do Suicide Solution, and then they had me do like a guitar solo type thing. And when I got done, Ozzy and Sharon sat down with me and they said, well, Jimmy, it's between you and Zakk Wylde. Because they've already been working with Zakk.
Yeah,
Zakk
okay.
was already, they had already started working with him.
Okay.
And they happened to see my tape afterwards.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, you know, I was, I think 9 years older than Zakk, which was okay. That really didn't have anything to do with it. But, you know, Zakk did look a lot like Randy Rhoads back then. He played a Les Paul, you know, the whole works.
Yeah.
But, you know, they took me out to dinner. I went to this really expensive, classy restaurant with Ozzy and the whole crew. I mean, when you walked in, there were all these suit and tie people, you know, like lawyers, doctors. You know, you had to have money to even walk into this place.
And you guys were like metalheads there.
yeah, we were metalheads, and Ozzy was a little messed up. I'll never forget, he put his hands in my food and was eating my salad, the tomatoes out of my salad, and it was great. Sharon had to get him out of there. But I went back to Ozzy's, whatever they call it, bungalow or suite, wherever he was on Sunset Strip in California. And I'm in there, and Ozzy has his daughter Amy on his lap. And Amy's the one that wouldn't be in the Osbourne.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have any part with the Osbourne TV shows or anything.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so she's there, and we're watching MTV. I'm sitting on the couch, Ozzy's on a chair, and all of a sudden, Black Sabbath Paranoid comes on MTV while I'm there. And Ozzy starts bouncing Amy. He goes, "Look, Amy, there's Daddy on TV." You know, it was the fun. I mean, talk about, you know, a great timing. You know, it was unbelievable. Synchronicity. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I go home. I fly home, and I didn't hear, but of course, then later on, I heard they decided to stay with Zakk, and you know, I can't even tell you. Everybody says to me, "Oh my God, Jimmy, that's so incredible! You were second. You were almost right there." And it's like, at some point, I almost wish that it hadn't gotten that close, because that's a tough thing. You know, I always refer to it as the like the Miss America pageant. You know, the girl gets the crown, and the other girl gets nothing, or gets a bouquet of flowers or something. It's a very tough thing. I guess coming in second is good. You know, it shows.
You almost did it.
Yeah, I mean, it shows talent. It shows a lot of things. But it's, you know, either way you look at it, it was very heartbreaking. It could have changed my life forever. Yeah. But I always look at things like, you know, the man upstairs works however he wants to. There was probably a very good reason why he didn't want me to have that at that time.
Yeah.
It could have been my crazy lifestyle back then in the 80s. You know, it could have been anything. You know,
maybe it could have led to something else. So who knows? You know.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Well, so I'm home. And one day, I get my phone rings, and there's this English chap on the phone, and he goes, "Hello, is this Jimmy?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "This is Terrence Butler." He goes, "I have a videotape that Sharon gave me," and he says, "I'm starting a new project, and I'd like to, I saw it, I'd like to get together with you." And I'm going, "Terrence Butler?" I go, Terrence. And then all of a sudden a light bulb went off. I go, "Holy shit, this is Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath." And I go, "Oh my God," you know, I go, "This is my favorite bass player in the world." You know, it just didn't click, you know? And So next thing I know, Geezer had a house in St. Louis in the States here. He flies me to St. Louis. He had a house. We get together, and Geezer was, it was so different than Ozzy. Like when I flew out with Ozzy, he had a driver pick me up and everything. When I flew to St. Louis, there was Geezer waiting for me at the airport.
Geezer came again. Came alone, yeah.
Yeah, Geezer came to pick me up. And he goes, first thing he does, he goes, let's go to the pub. So we go. We didn't even leave the airport. We go to the pub and have a beer. And, back then when I drank. And it was great. I'm just sitting here with this legend going, oh, my God, this is absolutely incredible. So.
And you started the band together, right?
Yeah, we talked about certain things. He flew me back home. And then the next thing I know, I was on my first trip to London. They flew me out there, and we had a band with this drummer Gary Ferguson, who was he played with Glenn Hughes, Eddie Money, a lot of famous people. Unbelievable drummer. Jez Woodruff, who was Robert Plant's keyboard player. He wrote Little by Little and Big Log. He wrote for Robert's solo stuff. And of course, the singer was a singer named Carl Sentence, who ended up being with Helix and has been the singer for Nazareth now for years. Okay. And is also the singer for Don Airy's solo band. Carl Sentence. He's an incredible, great guy. Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
So we're rehearsing at this big studio. And we get, we move over to this, we're rehearsing at one place where, right in London, a place called Tapco Studios or something. And I think, I know Paul McCartney had been there the week before. And I'm in the studio. I'm in the cafeteria part. And all of a sudden, I see this wild-looking guy in there, and I'm going, I recognize this guy. And it was all of a sudden, it's Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, Johnny.
And I'm going like, holy, it was like, wow, this is a trip, because that guy was crazy. I mean, seeing him in person was really.
I guess that was in his days with Public Image Limited, his band.
Yeah. I mean, to see him, it was like, oh my God. So anyway, we move over to this other studio just outside of Brighton, and it was an Air Force base, an old English Air Force base. So you stayed there, you ate there, they had a person cook for you and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So one day Geezer comes in and says to me, he says, Jimmy, do you have anything that's kind of, he was trying to do something a little more commercial, but then he says, do you have anything that you've written that's kind of similar to like a Black Sabbath song? And I said, well, actually I do. I said, I have this whole song here written. I played it for him and he really liked it. And I said, I have a title for it. I said, but I don't write lyrics, but I had this title in my head. And he asked me what the title was. I said, Master of Insanity. And he said, so he took that title and wrote all these lyrics, and we recorded the song Master of Insanity. Well, as you know how these things happen, we get signed to I think it was MCA Records or something.
What was the band's name?
It was just under Geezer Butler. It was just a solo thing.
Okay.
And it was before the GZR band or anything,
Okay.
So we get signed, and all of a sudden I'm home getting ready to do all this stuff. I get a phone call from Gloria Butler, Geezer's wife. And of course, it's always bad news. She goes, Jimmy, I have bad news. The guy that signed you got caught doing something bad at MCA Records. So he got fired. All his projects got dropped, this and that. So
oh, man.
They were going to search for something else. Meanwhile, Geezer goes back takes the bass spot with Ozzy. He decides to go out on the road and play with Ozzy for a while and do that. During that time, about 1992 or 93, I got a phone call from Gloria Butler. And she goes, Jimmy, I don't know if you heard, she goes, but Black Sabbath is getting back together with Ronnie Dio. And I did hear that. And she goes,
the Humanizer, yeah.
Yeah, and she goes, and I have great news. She goes, they're going to use your song, Master of Insanity, on the record. And I was like thrilled. She goes, but we have one problem. And of course, there's always a problem. And I said, okay. She goes, we can't say that you wrote the song. we have to say that Geezer wrote it, because Tony Iommi will never let a song from another guitar player on a Black Sabbath record. So what was I going to do? I said, oh, she goes, we will give you, Geezer will put your name in a special thanks, and when the tour is over, we will pay you for the song. So the record comes out. My song gets mentioned as being one of the good songs on the record.
Yeah.
Not only does that happen, but they obviously liked the song enough that it was included in their live set. I saw them a couple times when they came around. They brought me back and everything, and they played it live. So it wasn't like it was just like a B cut, something to fill the record. It was something that they really liked. And so time goes on, the tour ends. I never received the dime. Not that I was expecting to. I wasn't expecting to get any money. Yeah. Yeah. But, it's kind of like, come on. You're Black Sabbath. You can't pay me for this one song,
Yeah.
But, so, I've gone through my whole life. I went through my whole life, telling people I wrote the song. And, I'm a very honest person. And, I have no reason to lie. For me to say that I wrote a song called Master of Insanity that's on a Black Sabbath record, that'd be a heavy duty lie, unless I could back it up,
Yeah.
So finally, after years of saying, a lot of books had published, a lot of people found out that I wrote it. So it got published in books and everything. Finally, a book came out while Ronnie was alive, and Ronnie says it in a book that they're talking about the Dehumanizer, and it's talking about how Ronnie says, yeah, I wrote a lot of the lyrics for Dehumanizer. He goes, except for this one song, Master of Insanity, which was written by guitarist Jimi Bell and Geezer Butler. And he goes, and I absolutely love the song. So here's Ronnie Dio admitting that I wrote the song.
Man, that is like a revelation,
It was. When I saw that, it was like, oh, finally, thank you, Ronnie. I was just, over the top about that.
Yeah, because all the people that didn't believe that you did it, got their mouth shut,
Yeah. That's a tough thing to say. Look, anybody, oh, what do you mean you wrote that song? That's a tough thing to say.
Yeah.
But after all these years, finally, I don't know if it's because Ronnie wrote it in a book, but last year when Geezer Butler's book came out, Geezer even admits it. So in Geezer's new book that he came out with last year, 2 times in there, my name is mentioned about that song. And he even mentions, which is even funnier, the second part, that the reason that Tony Iommi doesn't like to do songs from other people that are written by other people because of his fingers. Because I wrote that whole beginning, the down do 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 do. And matter of fact, I told Geezer when I wrote it, I said to Geezer, I said, I could imagine, I would like to have you start this on bass by yourself. Boom, 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 and then the whole band kicks in. So that's how we recorded it on the demo. I have matter of fact, on YouTube, the original demo with Carl Senton singing is on there. You can hear the original Master of Insanity. It's a little bit faster.
Like you recorded it in the studio with Geezer, yeah.
Yeah, I recorded in the studio with Geezer, Jez.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so it's on YouTube. And the only thing that they changed was they added one little section to the beginning of the guitar solo. But other than that, the song is recorded note for note, just the way that I wrote it. Other than them adding one little part in the solo section. But if you look up the original version, demo version, you'll hear me. And it's a little bit faster, but you'll know it's me playing. I do this little thing.
I will check it out. Yeah, you're a shredder, so
yeah, you'll know it's different than what Tony played.
I will check it out, and that's the thing you're talking about, 92. So that's what I wanted to ask you. This was incredible, amazing story, and I wanted to ask you about that. Those days in the 90s, how did you survive the grunge era, the 90s? You know, how did you do there back then? You know, because that killed a little bit of the hard rock glam metal movement, and went into other direction. You know, how did you survive the 90s?
Well, you know, it's really weird. I'll tell you something so funny. I had decided at one point when the 90s happened, you know, I was still doing something with a second version of Join Forces, and we almost got signed to a record deal. And then when that didn't happen, I said, you know what, I'm done. I ended up getting in a cover band, and I was at a point when I got into the cover band, my mindset, I hadn't played covers in so long that I thought my life was over. I said, well, this is it. I said, I'm doing a cover band. And I did that. And then, I just started dabbling in different things. And I ended up having this love for country guitar playing. I still do. I mean, all my little videos I post on Facebook, a lot of them are country picking, flat picking type stuff.
Okay.
I just ended up loving the sound of, I'm not talking like traditional country songs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the guitar players that are, kicking ass all over the guitar, because some of those country players are so absolutely amazing. I fell in love with that style. I actually started playing a lot of it. And I got really good at it for a while. So I was doing that. And all of a sudden, I got contacted in 1998. My buddy BJ Zampa had a really good friend named Ted Bullitt, and Ted Bullitt was a singer for a band that was pretty big in Germany at the time called Thunderhead. And Thunderhead. He was, Thunderhead.
Those were the guys that had, I think I had an album from them. They had a hit song, Young and Wasted or something like that.
I think so, yeah. And they had this amazing live album, and Ted's on that album, Ted Bullitt, and they did this crazy version of
Killing with Style. It's them.
Yeah. I think, and they did this
Killing with Style.
Behind the Eight Ball, or I think they did. I don't know if it was Ace of Spades they did, or if they did another Motorhead song. We did a Motorhead song too.
The singer was blonde, something like Sebastian Bach or something like that, I think.
Well, Ted Bullitt was from America, but this guy, he's on the live album. There's a Thunderhead live.
Okay.
I don't know if they had different band members at the thing, but Ted was amazing. And he came back to the U.S. because that's where he's from, and put together a new Thunderhead, and we did a record on the SPV label.
Okay.
So a record came out, and we ended up on tour with Metal Church. Metal Church had got back together with David Wayne. They did an album called Masterpiece, and Masterpiece. We went to Germany and did a 2 or 3 week run with them, And that's where I met David Wayne from Metal Church, the original singer. He, every day, every show that we played, David would stand down on the side of the stage and watch me play guitar. So we had one of these double-decker tour buses that we were traveling. And I would always practice on the upper level. And so David came to me and said, hey, Jimmy, he says, I'm only doing this one tour with these guys. I'm doing a solo record. He goes, you want to do you want to be on the solo record with me? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So as soon as the tour ended, I came home and started working with BJ, my drummer, on David Wayne's solo record. And I wrote this whole solo record, a solo record with David Wayne and BJ, and it came out really cool. It was called David Wayne's _S Metal Church. It was the record the record was titled Metal Church, but and I got into some weird tunings. There's a song on there called The Hammer Will Fall, which I really like. I took the E string and dropped it all the way down to a C sharp. So it was like a whole step and a half. And I was getting these weird, I was able to do this weird, crazy riff and these crazy riffs. And I ended up writing a bunch of stuff along that version of songs. So, the record came out and we were supposed to do more, but then David got really sick and he ended up passing away. Yeah. And that's, and then I did a record with singer Mike Facera, who was Mike sang for Loudness for a band Obsession. Then he went to Loudness, replaced the Japanese singer. Then he was Yngwie's singer for a while. I did his solo record. Then all of a sudden I got called from House of Lords, and that's when I got a call from James Christian.
That's what I wanted to ask you. When did you go in House of Lords and Autograph? Yeah.
Okay, so 2005 is when I got a call from James Christian, and he said, Jimmy, I guess they had done a record called Power and the Myth. Okay. And the record didn't, although there's some really good songs on there, I don't think the fans didn't really take a big liking to it. I don't know why, but there was something about it that it just didn't go over that big. So James calls me and says, look, he says, I'm putting together another House of Lords, but he says, have you ever written a melodic rock song before? Do you know anything about melodic rock music? And I really didn't know anything about melodic rock music, but I told him yes, because I didn't want to blow the opportunity, Yeah. So I just said, yeah, of course, I know what melodic rock is, So I sent him some stuff that I had, which was pretty heavy, heavy guitar riff. Yeah. But the thing with House of Lords is, no matter what I sent James, by the time he added his vocal with all the layered harmonies and the keyboards and everything, you can take a heavy riff and make it into a melodic rock song.
Yeah, make it a little bit softer, yeah.
Make it a little softer, and that's what he did, and everything just came out amazing. And then when we were looking, he was looking to put together a band, and we were going to go out, and I convinced him I said, well, look, I work with this drummer, BJ. He's got the studio. He's a great, great drummer. And James is pretty particular about drummers. So especially after working with Ken Mary and Tommy Aldridge and, because especially Ken is just like, Ken Mary's just unbelievable. So he listened to BJ and really liked him because BJ's a real solid rock. His metronome, his meter is this. So it was, we got him in, and, BJ and I would do all the albums. It would be me and BJ would write all this material, send it down to him. And, that's how we did everything. So World Upside Down came out, and the fans loved it. It got an incredible rating, and so House of Lords was back on track. And now I'm doing.
You had last year Saints and Sinners, right?
Yeah, Saints and Sinners. Yeah, and right now, album 10 has is on its way to being completed. I have a good amount of songs are all written and recorded already.
You still releasing with Frontiers Records?
Yeah, still. We got another.
Man, I love Frontiers. They're releasing great music last 10 years, man. They're incredible. Both Alessandro and Serafino are great guys in the production there.
Oh yeah, I love both of them, and I have a very good relationship with Mario. He's in charge there at Frontiers. He's second in command there, and we talk a lot. And
but you do record a lot of stuff for Frontiers, right?
Oh yeah, I do a lot of stuff. I was they had called me about, I guess it was, we're going on about 2 years ago, or a year and a half, I'd say. Alessandro had a message to me and Mario about this project they wanted to do, a super group, and they asked me if I wanted to be involved with it. And I said, well, absolutely. But they didn't want to tell me who was in it. They just wanted to get a commitment from me, and they said you would be writing all this material with Alessandro, and so I committed to it. And then I found out that the bass player and drummer were Chuck Wright and Ken Mary, the two original House of Lords members. Okay. So to me, that was, I saw what they were doing here. So they took me from the current House of Lords, and then two original guys from the original, from the old albums, and to place them in another band. And originally we were calling the project, while we were writing and everything, sending tracks back and forth to everybody, we called the project Sahara. And then, but it ended up being called Demons Down, which is even funnier because the Demons Down record does not have me, Chuck Wright, or Ken Mary on it. So it's the one album that none of us are on, the Demons Down record. So it was just pretty crazy that's how it got picked. But I love that. I love the Demons Down project. Man, when that thing came out, and I was over the top thrilled that they picked the two songs that they picked for the video were songs that I wrote. I Stand, and Disappear. And the video, whoever did the videos for those two songs the company is outstanding. They're like little movies or something. I absolutely loved the two videos that they picked. It was just how they did them. I remember
one of the videos. I remember, yeah.
Yeah. So both of them are just came out spectacular.
And also autograph albums you released under Frontiers, right?
Right. Yeah. They had come to me while I was talking to me about the Demons Down project and asked me, just said, "Aren't you an autograph?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Is there anybody who's in the band?" And I said, "Well, there's only Randy is he's the original bass player. He's still with us, because Steve had quit, and but Simon and Mark, the two guys that are currently still with the band, they've been in the band for 10 years because Simon was recruited when the band got back together in 2013 with Kenny Richards, Steve and Randy Rand. Yeah. So they had, Simon's been the singer for over, for 10 years now. And then Kenny Richards, passed away and right away, and Mark got into the band. So, those guys got 10 years of their life invested into that band.
Yeah.
And then, in 2019, Steve had, he had a fiance at the time, and they were working on a musical collaboration, and he didn't want to have anything to do with Autograph anymore. He wanted to change his style of music and everything else, so he quit the band. And the guys didn't want to stop. They decided that they wanted to keep going, which, I think, it probably surprised Steve. But Randy said, no way. He says, I want to, he loved the band and he wanted to keep it going. So they knew me from meeting with them. I had met with them a few times. Every time they came to Connecticut, we had become friends. And they called and, talked to me about joining the band.
Yeah, so how many albums you released under Frontiers?
Just one, one. The Autograph Beyond record. That's it.
But you had records with Autograph before the Frontiers one?
No. They do. They have before, when Steve was still in the band, they have an album called Get Off Your Ass, which has Randy and Steve on it.
Oh, okay.
And of course Mark and Simon. But the only record I did was the Beyond record, and okay. I wrote most of the music for that. I only write music. I don't write lyrics. There's 2 songs that Simon had completed, lyrics and music. Those are on there. So yeah, I that's my thing. I like to write music, But Autograph is I'm just a hired gun for that band. Simon and Mark are the partners for that. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not in the business end of that band. Yeah. I like to lead myself like this for a reason, because I don't want to be, even with House of Lords, I'm not a partner in House of Lords, and I've been with the band since 2005.
15 years.
No. Yeah, 15 years. I like to leave myself open for other projects.
Yeah,
and not just projects, but if I'm signed in a contract with a band, or if I'm a part of the business or something like that, it makes it a lot more difficult for me to leave and
to make some side stuff.
Yeah, side stuff, or something really big comes along that I want to do. Like, I get this offer. That's something I've been waiting all my life for. I want to be able to just say, look, I love you guys. I appreciate it, but this is an opportunity I've been waiting for. This way I don't have to go through all this stuff to get released from a business.
All the administration stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, thank you, I get, I have it arranged like that. I make less money than those guys. That's the way it is.
That's a very smart move from your side.
It just keeps me open, right?
By the way, I know that you're also a studio guy. So how did you get to? I read somewhere that you are a studio guy, a go-to guitarist for sports giants, NASCAR, ESPN, wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
How did you get that gig?
That was crazy. I was in one of my cover bands, and I was. I'll tell you how the one for the World Wrestling Federation happened. I was playing at this bar here in Connecticut, and now keep in mind, I was in the '80s. I was a wrestling fan. I loved the Hulk Hogan, that whole era, the Ultimate Warrior, that type stuff.
The Undertaker and stuff.
Undertaker, the whole thing. I thought it was just amazing. The Heart Foundation, all of it. This guy during the break, he was working at the door. He says, you would do great down at my other job. And I go, what do you do? He says, well, I'm a cameraman. I work down at the WWE. And I flipped out. I go, oh my God. I says, I'm a huge wrestling fan. He goes, do you have a package or anything? So I got him my promo package.
Okay.
He brought it to work and handed it to the music director at the time, who was there since the early '80s, Jim Johnston. He's the guy that did all the themes for all the wrestling, people. He brought it like on a Thursday. On a Friday, I got a phone call that quick, and they says, "Hey, I got a call from his, the guy that took care of his office stuff." He goes, "Hey, this is Daryl. I'm Jim Johnson's assistant. Can you come down at 3:00 today to do a track?" So the World Wrestling Federation office is about an hour away from me. They're in Stamford, Connecticut. And so I went. Now, I thought I was going to the corporate building, but it's not. They had a studio around the corner where they had the recording studio and the TV studios and everything right around the corner.
Okay.
So I go there, and it's just great. I'm sitting in the waiting room. The guy brings me in. Next thing I know, Jim Johnson comes out, introduces himself. He brings me into the room, and it's business right away. As soon as you walk into that studio, because whatever I'm about to record was going to be aired that night on WWE, on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
So that's how things worked. They needed it. It had to be recorded, mixed, everything mastered, everything else, and then sent to the arena for the wrestler, that's coming through. So I did. I got there. I'm pulling my guitar out of the case, and he's playing. So he has stuff already recorded. They wanted me to play solos. I didn't. Most of the time, I didn't have to go down there and redo rhythms. They wanted just me to play wild leads over a lot of stuff. So I ended up doing that, and I got to tell you, that was one of the biggest thrills of my life. Whenever they would call and I would go down there, I did that.
It paid off good.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I had to sign a waiver. So in other words, anything that I played on that came on, I got paid a flat fee. So I would walk in, they would give me a nice bulk check for coming down there, and then that was it. It wasn't like Jim.
And everything is there. I mean, the songs are theirs afterwards.
Yeah. Most of the time, everything was there. A couple times, though, Jim did let me help collaborate in a couple of the songs. Like, what if we do this, But still, I signed a flat fee. So, in other words, when I say that, it wasn't like, like Jim would get paid every time a song, even if it was played 2 seconds, something that he wrote came on TV or on pay-per-view, whatever. You get that residual. That wasn't the case with me. I got my flat fee.
Yeah, you're not paid royalties afterwards. Yeah.
Right, but that was fine. I was good.
Yeah.
But so I did that right up to about 2015, and something happened within the corporate thing, and they had let him go, which was really strange because he had been there forever. So I really don't know what happened, but I had a really good time doing that. But I did a bunch of stuff for ESPN. I did something for NASCAR.
Yeah.
I did a couple of TV shows. I remember I did this theme for this car auction thing, this Meekum auction where they had all these old antique cars and a big auction thing. They asked me to write a song similar to Thunderstruck by AC/DC. They were looking for that type of vibe.
Yeah.
So I wrote this whole thing with a moving line, and they loved it. And so, yeah. So, this has been my life, doing stuff like this. I wish I was doing a lot more. I am happy that House of Lords is doing another record. I still do shows with Autograph. We go out and play. I like that because, they're U.S. shows. I get to fly in and then fly home.
Yeah.
I wish I was playing a lot more. So I am, currently, keeping my options open for something that's out there even more touring. I want to be on the road.
Hope you will come to Europe soon.
I'm supposed to come with House of Lords, where House of Lords is booked on a tour.
Great.
They're doing it, and I'm supposed to go over with them.
That would be awesome.
It would be great to meet you in person.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to come wherever closest they come.
All you got to do is message me, and I'll get you in, so you don't have to worry.
Thanks, bro. Thanks a lot. We will do an interview one-on-one.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll even pull James Christian in on it. You can ask him a couple questions.
Would be awesome. Wanted to ask you about something that you invented, the Shredneck.
Yeah. Do I have one down here? I don't even know if I have one.
What is that?
Jeez, I have one. I don't know if I could reach it.
Okay.
Can I disappear for 1 second?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Bring it if you can. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I could grab it. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's see what is a Shredneck.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Okay. All right. Let me put these back in.
Okay.
I was very happy. I happen to have one out.
Yeah,
and this
awesome.
This is actually a pretty cool one. I'll show you why.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had maintained, friends with Zakk Wylde. Not like where I call him or anything, but him and I hung out together during the Ozzy audition. Him and I jammed together in my hotel room and everything. And he had a lot of respect for me. He even said at a clinic after he got the Ozzy gig that he didn't think he was going to get the Ozzy gig because of because there was this guy named Jimi Bell that was so good on guitar he didn't think he was going to get, which was really nice of him to say. Okay. But anyways, when Zakk comes around and I get to chat with him.
Okay.
When I partnered up, I invented this thing in my car. I had kind of a wild story. This is my fretboard hand.
Okay.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
I busted this hand one time. I had popped down this knuckle here.
Okay.
I injured it, and I had I had this part of my hand in a half cast.
Okay.
So they had a cast going around my thumb. These two fingers were set, but I had these two fingers free.
So you had to play with 2 fingers or 3?
No, 2. So I actually still practiced with just 2 fingers.
Yeah.
But when the cast came off, I wanted to exercise my hand as much as possible. And they had these things, that had springs in them, these things like this.
Yeah.
But when I used that, that's not what that made my hand really stiff. And I'm going like, well, that's not what my hand feels like after practicing. My fingers are nice and loose.
Yeah.
So I said, I want to come up with a neck. I want to come up with something that has strings on it, so I could just move my fingers on strings.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine had made me something, and I kept it in my car. And I would just drive around with it. And one time I was up seeing a buddy of mine who's into crazy stuff, and he says, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's something I invented. It's just a little, I used it to warm up my fingers." So he picks it up and looking at it, he goes, "We can manufacture this, because he has all the connections to do this." Next thing I know, he's got this thing all being made in China and everything. I'm getting a sample of it. I'm going, this is crazy. So I went and talked to, I had talked to Zakk at an Ozfest, and he told me I could make one for him and have something. So we had a few artists made. So this right here is actually, this was a very first prototype that we had done for Zakk. We had done the Black Label.
Black Label Society Shredneck, okay?
Yeah. And, but it totally has changed since then. But this one's really old. You can see this one I had kept in my car. It's all beat up. And but you can see the fingerboard and everything.
Yeah.
So what this is originally, when I did it, I had it like this. And a lot of people hold it wrong because they assume this is the guitar neck like this and you're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
I did do it like that, but when I was trying to do it, the weight of this just kept going like this. So I changed it where this is almost like the body of the guitar. So you can see that the neck is slimmer up here and gets wider down here. Yeah. And then this, I have this little arch here. It sits on your knee and you go like this with it. Now, the reason you can't, it's not something that you tune and you can play. it's like a finger exercise. Like
Yeah,
I'll pull on the strings to keep my calluses strong.
Yeah.
I'll do all these hammer-on things. You could practice, you could even just take it and, just practice, keeping your calluses, moving your finger.
Tapping, yeah.
And I do all these finger exercises like this,
yeah.
just to keep my hands strong. And I've actually developed certain patterns that I do, just slamming the fingers on these strings. And believe me, it works incredible. I have one in my car, and every time on the way to a gig, I still use it like this. And
warming up. Yeah.
It's a warm up thing. Just gets my pull offs going, and
looks like a violin.
yeah. So I mean, you could. That's why, and you could adjust the tension of the string on how you want it. You can have them real loose.
Yeah.
I keep certain strings loose. I like it's kind of weird. Like I got the G string here. I'm digging it into my fingertips because that helps keep my calluses strong. I want to keep it as good. I'm practicing hammer-ons or what else. So, anyways, my partner made that a real thing. I mean, that would be just a hunk of wood with strings on it sitting in my car still if it wasn't for him.
Thank you so much for the explanation, man. I haven't got a clue what that is, but I read about it. Yeah. So now I know, and now I know that Zakk Wylde uses one.
Yeah, he's got one. There's a few signature models. We have them in bass and everything. For Billy Sheehan has a signature model one, and awesome. Go to shredneck.com. You'll see a whole line of stuff.
I'll check it out. I wanted to ask you before we end the interview. What are your thoughts on today's recording industry with the digital releases, physical releases? Does it paying off on Spotify, on Deezer, or vinyls or CDs or something? What do you think about that?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't really.
It's confusing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is. It's confusing. I still have. I have a hard time even getting money from my from Europe things. It's not Frontier's fault. I'm waiting for a tax thing, so I don't get taxed twice. From Italy and here. I've been waiting forever for this one number. But Frontiers is being cool. They got money held for me, but it's just it's a nightmare.
It's a Spotify thing more than the release. Company,
Yeah. I just I don't really see stuff too much. I don't even. Honestly, I don't even count on it that much. I more or less, I look at it like this. I go perform. I make money that way. I get paid when I release record. I get paid for doing records. I get paid. I'll do guest spots on people's records, and people want me to play a solo, this and that. I have no problem doing it like that. If I was to have to sit and try to, I mean, maybe the big artists. I'm sure, Metallica, AC/DC,
they make some money out of it.
They make their money off of that because
out of place,
because it's because they can, they're that big.
The ones that make millions of views of streamings,
but someone like me, whether it's Autograph, House of Lords, it's not a lot. You see it on the sheets sometimes.
So bands like Autograph, House of Lords, or whatever, gotta make the money out live or from merchandise.
Right. Exactly. You go out and even now with merchandise, they kill you. The company, they take such a huge cut with when you the company, when you go bring merchandise.
That make the shirts, yeah.
Well, no, not even the place that makes the shirts. It's the people that sell them. Like you bring them onto a place, and like if you're playing a big festival, they want a huge cut just for putting your shirts at their booth. At a booth them to sell. So you got to pay that person, give the venue a cut and everything. By then it's just like so I just go and play and.
What are your future plans in the near or longer future for you?
Well, right now, as I had said earlier, I'm doing the 10th House of Lords record, which I'm really excited about. And I have, more shows with Autograph, and a lot of shows with Beyond Purple. And I will hopefully be coming to Europe on tour with House of Lords this year. We are booked for something in September.
Okay.
I believe it's over in England, but we wouldn't come over just for one date. If we come over, we're coming over. So we're looking to do that. And I say let's just hopefully we get to meet.
Yeah,
and
I hope.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. And
it would be.
It would be wonderful to meet you. All you got to do is get in touch with me.
Of course, man, I will. If I see you coming close, I will immediately get in touch with you. So your future plans are keep the ball rolling into the music business. Still very active. Yeah.
Very active. Yeah. Oh yeah. I have there's no plans for me to retire by any means.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to retire, but I don't plan on it.
Yeah.
Not for a while. Not while I could still play. While my hands are working, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. We came to an end of the podcast, man. Thank you very, very much for you accepting my invitation for Denim and Leather podcast.
Yeah, it was a pleasure being here. I really enjoyed it. Maybe we'll do another. Yeah, we'll do another one sometime.
We'll do. It was a very great talk. I found out very interesting things about you I didn't know.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much, man.
That's the point. You're very welcome. I hope to see you.
Yeah, have a great day, and I hope the renovation of the house is getting good.
Yeah, it's good, but we have a lot of snow outside today. I got to go tend to that.
Oh,
okay. Get the snowblower going and stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay, man.
All right, buddy.
Nice meeting, and thank you for everything.
You got it, my friend. Take care. Bye.
Bye, my friends.